Chapter 5. Pell. 5/5/52. Angelo Constantine looked up sharply from the desk, covered with notes and emergencies which wanted immediate attention. "Union?" he asked in dismay. "A prisoner of war," the security head told him, standing uncomfortably before the desk. "Part of the Russell's evacuation. Turned over to our security separate of the others. A pickup from a capsule, minor ship, arms comper, confined at Russell's. Norway carried him in. No turning him loose among the refugees. They'd kill him. Mallory added a note to his file. He's your problem now. Her words, sir. Angelo opened the file, stared at a young face, a record of several pages of interrogation, Union ID, and a scrap of notepaper with Mallory's signature and a scrawl. Young and scared. Joshua Hallbright Tally, arms comper, Union Fleet minor probe. He had 500 individuals and groups who thought they were headed back to their original housing. Warnings of further evacuations in the secret instructions Mallory had left, which was going to take at least most of Orange and Yellow sections, dislocating more offices, and 6 company agents who thought they were headed beyond to inspect the war, with no merchanter who would agree to take company script to take them aboard. He did not need problems from lower levels. The boy's face haunted him. He turned back to that page, leafed again through the interrogation report, scanned it, remembered the security chief still standing there. "So what are you going to do with him?" "Holding him in detention. None of the other officers agree what to do with him." Pell had never had a prisoner of war. The war had never come here. Angelo thought it over and fretted the more of the situation. "Legal affairs have a suggestion. Suggested I get a decision here. We're not equipped for that kind of detention." "No, sir." The security chief agreed. It was a hospital facility down there. The setup was more for retraining, adjustment, what rare times it had ever been needed. "We can't treat him. Those cells aren't set up for long stays, sir. Maybe we could rig up something more comfortable. We've got people without lodgings as it is. How are we going to explain that? We could set up something in detention itself. Take a panel out, at least get a bigger room." "Postpone that." Angelo ran a hand through his sparse hair. "I'll consider policy on the case as soon as I get the emergency matters settled. Deal with him as best you can with what you have at hand. Ask the lower offices to apply some imagination to the case and send me the recommendations." "Yes, sir." The security chief left. Angelo put the folder away for later use. A prisoner of that kind was not what they needed at the moment. What they did need was a means to secure housing and feed extra mouths and to cope with what was coming. They had trade goods which were suddenly going nowhere. Those could be consumed on Pell and on Downbelow at the base, and out in the mines. But they needed others. They had economics to worry about, markets which had collapsed, the value of any currency in doubt as far as merchanters were concerned. From a star-spanning economy, Pell had to be turned to feed itself, to self-sufficiency, and perhaps to face other changes. It was not the single Union prisoner they had in hand, identified, who had him worried. It was the likely number of Unionists and sympathizers who would grow in quarantine, folk for whom any change was going to look better than what they had. There were only some of the refugees with papers, and many of those had been discovered not to match the prints or photos attached to them. "We need some sort of liaison with the quarantine zone residents," he advised council at the afternoon's meeting. "We'll have to set up a government on the other side of the line, someone of their choosing, some manner of elections, and we'll have to deal with what results." They accepted that, as they had accepted all else. It was the concerns of their own constituencies which had them distraught, the councilors from dislodged Orange and Yellow, from Green and White, which had gotten most of the influx of station residents. Red sector, untouched, abutting yellow from the other side, was anxious. The others were jealous. There was a deluge of complaints and protests and rumors of rumor. He made note of them. There was debate. It finally came to the necessary conclusion that they had to relieve pressure on the station itself. "We do not authorize further construction here." The man, Ares, interposed, rising from his seat. Angelo simply stared at him, given heart to do so by Signy Mallory, who had called a bluff on the company and made it good. "I do," Angelo said. "I have the resources to do it, and I will." There was a vote. It went the only sane way, with the company observers sitting in silent anger, vetoing what was passed, which veto was simply ignored while plans proceeded. The company men left the meeting early. Security reported them later agitating on the docks and trying to engage a freighter at inflated rates with gold. There was not a freighter moving for anything except in-system hauling, ordinary runs to the mines. It did not surprise Angelo when he heard that. There was a cold wind blowing, and Pell felt it. Everyone with instincts bred of the beyond felt it. Eventually, perhaps the company men did, at least 2 of them, for those 2 engaged to ship home, to Seoul, the same which had brought them, a smallish and decrepit jump freighter, the only merchanter with an EC designation which had docked at Pell in the better part of a decade, laden with Downbelow curios and delicacies for its return, as it had brought in goods from Earth, which sold high for their curiosity. The 4 other company representatives upped their offers and boarded a freighter for an unguaranteed run on the freighter's own schedule to call at Viking and wherever else the uncertain times left safe. They accepted Mallory's conditions from a merchanter captain and paid for the privilege.